Now it's time to be dangerous. Now it's time to get risky. Now it's time to truly find out what you're made of and what you could achieve. Now it's time to truly find out how many lives you can impact. Now it's time to find out what you were destined to become.
Hey, we are back. We are Raw Minds. I'm your host, Eric.
And I'm Anthony.
And we got something a little bit different today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be talking sound baths.
Yeah, bud.
And me and you, we've experienced it 2 times.
What a fucking trip.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk too much about it because we'll get our guest to kind of give her perspective of it. But, you know, like, what I will say is, like, we went into it, I don't want to say skeptical. We were open-minded. But, you know, what transpired was not what I anticipated at all. Like, it was a fucking trip and a half.
I remember looking at your face when you, like, came out of it. You're like, what?
Bro, I didn't even want to sit up. You, like, tickled my feet to get me out of the thing hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah, you just wanted to stay there.
I could have fucking stayed there.
Hell yeah. Well, should we just get right into it then?
Yeah,
because like everything that we want to talk about is kind of intertwines, right? So
yeah. Let's bring out Jenny.
All right, let's do it. Hey, Jenny.
What's up?
Hey, Jenny.
How's it
Welcome
going?
back.
Good.
Should I do like a little intro here with like some music?
Do it up.
For those of you who don't know what sound bath meditation is, should I bring my witchcraft out here?
Bring out your ooh-woo.
And like the hypnotherapy?
Yeah, do you want to explain to people if they don't know what exactly a sound bath is?
Yeah, give us a little bit about yourself and what you do, and then break down the sound bath for people.
Yeah, we don't want to butcher that.
No, actually, I want you to butcher it. Let's see what you learned. Because I heard the first time before you did the sound bath, how you explained what it was. I mean, you did pretty good considering you didn't experience it. But I mean, what would you say after you experienced it? What would you say like a sound bath is?
Definitely a massage for your insides, I guess.
Yeah.
In a
there
sense.
You go.
You know what I mean?
As simple as that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it didn't take you very long to figure that out.
Yeah.
So I'm Jenny. I'm, I guess, a very passionate sound healer, or I used to call it like a sound bath facilitator, but now I've kind of like really stepped into the whole accepting that, okay, maybe I am healing, but, you know, I'm just healing by inspiring, right? And just educating people. I'm not doing the healing for you. You know, like you guys know and talk in your podcast all the time, the healing comes from within and the growth comes from introspection. I'm just here to hold a safe space for you to actually be able to sit in the stillness without wanting to run away or be avoidant. And I know that also well. So, you know, we all turn to substances or, you know, avoidant behaviors just to not deal with our own shit. And nobody wants to sit in stillness because then your fucking brain gets in the way and you start thinking about a whole bunch of shit. And then next thing you know, you're just going down this rabbit hole and then you can't shut it off.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's a simply put for everyday people that don't know what it is. It's just essentially a massage for your nervous system, right?
Yeah.
So
and
the
a good one
exactly
too.
That. Yes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think Eric, you were like very, very open to it ever since you kind of like heard and saw what I did. Anthony, you were just open to jump onto whatever Eric is like, you should try this. But, you know, I really love how honest you were after the sound bath about what you really thought. And it's like, you know, I'm not offended by that at all, but why don't you tell people exactly what your version of sound bath prior to coming into my class and then what you came out of it afterwards? Because your experience was like, seriously, the way you came out of it was like, I wish I recorded that like look on your face.
Yeah, you should have seen your face.
Fuck, man. Let's just call it what it was. Eric and I were driving to your studio, and we're just like, yep, we're just going to go hang out in these fucking blankets hanging from the ceiling while this chick bangs pots and pans together. And I don't say that in an offensive way, but to just put it as simply as possible, that was what my understanding was going to be. At first, when you very first told me about sound baths and that we were going to try to get into one, I thought it had to do with water. It's got nothing to do with fucking
Yep.
water. It's got nothing to do with water. And for like the first 10, 15 minutes, what I really appreciated that you did was the breathing exercises at the beginning, because the first, like, I would say 5 minutes were like really uncomfortable because it's a super vulnerable position to be in.
Mhm.
And I don't mean like physically, just being in that type of environment, in that state, is like a vulnerable position, especially for a man, you know, and I know
Mhm.
you know that.
Yep.
But then after like the first 5 minutes, it's like, okay, like I guess I can roll with this for like an hour or whatever. And then by like the 10-minute mark, I'm like, okay, like this is actually pretty relaxing. And then you hit the fucking gong, and I'm just like, what is happening inside my body? And when we came out of it, my
Yeah.
first thought was like, I don't know what I expected, but what I expected was not what fucking happened.
Yeah.
It was like you would ask, like you just asked Eric, like, how would you describe it? When you played the gong, the only way I can describe it is it was this implosion / explosion that started at my bones and worked its way out to the outside of my skin, but in like a good feeling way, like in a pleasurable way. Like it was
Mhm.
crazy. It was crazy.
What blew my mind though was when she hit the gong, it almost like it felt like she was walking around with the gong and like going
Yeah.
on each side of your head, but she wasn't.
Yep.
The thing
No.
was sitting there the whole
It's
time.
not moving like
Yeah.
50 pounds around you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And even
That's
with
the
the crystal
trippy part. And
bowls.
yeah,
The
the
crystal
sun,
bowls.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it doesn't play well, obviously, on microphone. The whole idea is being live, right? And that's why it's called a sound bath. And a lot of people don't understand that. And honestly, I'll be honest with you. I mean, this is why I love Raw Mind so much. This is how I kind of met you guys, is listening to your podcast. And I'm like, fuck, you know, I know it's a men's mental health like podcast, but like it's fucking real.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Yeah.
just being real. I'm kind of love listening to podcasts, but a lot of the podcasts that I listen to is more like growth and learning and like filling my brain with more knowledge, which can get super overwhelming. And then I stumble on yours and you guys are just like fucking saying it straight up, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, like I didn't know that men think the same thing as what I think. I mean, you have different perspectives, yes, but I mean, to be honest, as a woman, we never really get to hear what a man really thinks.
Mm.
To be honest, sometimes we don't even think men really even care or pay attention or have emotions or feel. But in fact, you know, I've come to learn that men might almost have even more emotions than we do. At least we can release that. And women, we have
Mhm.
outlets, we have each
Yeah.
other, we can talk about it vulnerably. But where do men really go? Right? I mean, they talk about sports with their bros, or they might bitch and complain about this and that on the surface level, but how can you communicate something that you feel so deeply when you don't even know how to communicate that to yourself or feel into that, right?
Mhm.
Well, and
So
part of that
it was
too is like you don't
refreshing.
understand it. Like as a man, what you're feeling, you don't understand.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And you have nowhere to go where someone can help guide you. And everyone's like, go to a therapist, right? And most therapists are women, to be honest. You know, there are male therapists, but also at the same time, men are not hardwired to be able to sit with their shit emotionally. And so the easiest thing for them that they've been taught generations and, you know, seeing generations before them is that they just have to keep busy and work. And that's how they get out of their mind or, you know, distract themselves from thinking too much and then feeling too much. But when men feel, they just don't know what to do with it. Like my son is 10. I've been doing sound baths for years now and meditation and yoga. And he's fully aware of my mental health story and all the issues and situations that I've, you know, really struggled in. I've shared it openly and he's actually been there to see it. And to be honest, he's the one who saved me 7 years ago. The reason why I came to this isn't because it's like I'm some, you know, voodoo witchcraft lady, right? Who has some
Shit,
magic
yeah.
abilities and shit. I know that people come out of it, and especially for men too, because they don't know what it's like to be in that actual state of Zen bliss
Mhm.
or just present, and then have their mind actually not ramble on with a bunch of things. Like I've come to learn that men think a lot.
Well, it's a fight or
Almost,
flight, right? That's what
yeah,
we live on, fight or flight. A lot of us,
right.
a good portion,
But
anyways.
absolutely. And I didn't know that so much goes on in their brain. It actually drives them nuts. And that's why I guess there's that amp of aggressive behavior or frustration and kind of like an explosion that's more physical or, possibly sometimes more violent than what you would see in women. I mean, don't get me wrong, women can be pretty nasty too, right? I've been
Mhm.
there, but it all has to do with how much you repressed. So the more you just keep pushing down, pushing down, pushing down, it's just going to stay there, but it stays stuck in your body. That nervous system gets so fired up when you think about how much time you spend in that fight or flight. People don't realize that it's a really unhealthy level and it's causing you autoimmune diseases. It's causing you pain. It's causing you depression, anxiety, and the list goes on. And then that turns into physical repercussions, which then deteriorates your physical
Oh.
abilities, mental abilities, and emotional abilities. It's all tied back into that nervous system. And this is why I love sound bath meditations
Mhm.
so much, because of all the things that I've done, which I've dabbled in everything. Like my mental health it couldn't get any worse than it already did. Like when your 3-year old finds you and saves you from committing suicide, it doesn't get worse than that. Like that was my awakening. That was my moment of like, wake the fuck up and do something about it. Cause you just almost became, you are the reason why he's going to be psychologically fucked.
Mhm.
And my son, who's 10, even when I teach him breath work and all of this, and he embodies that and he does a really good job of it, I found him not being able to talk about his emotions. And I'm like, wow, have I not taught him how to be comfortable in communicating how he feels? Because he was frustrated about something and then he lashed out at his sister and he lashed out at me and I don't know why.
Mhm.
And, sometimes we get so busy in our lives that we don't stop to even ask. And I think a lot of the times we just brush off like men or boys because they're not naturally emotional the way girls are. So girls, they're like in your face. And like my daughter's always like, when she's not happy and she'll tell you, right? She'll make
Mhm.
us think about it. She'll cry and whatever. My son hardly ever cries. You'd really have to hurt him physically for him to cry. And even then, it's like a really quick cry and like you can see him hold it in. So it's almost like natural for boys to do that automatically because it's just been ingrained in them, even genetically, before they even established anything. I think it's like that. It's almost like people don't recognize that behaviors and reactions like that or habits are also genetically passed down. That's the generational lineage and that's a generational trauma. And it's no different than hair color, eye color. When our families pass that trauma down or respond a certain way to fight or flight, that also alters us genetically
Mhm.
Mhm.
and changes our genetics to then pass it down. Why do we have people who, have resemblances of their family? Like, there's kids that have the same kind of habits or quirks that moms and dads have because that's been passed down genetically. So, we only look at the physical things, but we never look at emotionally or internally what kind of things get passed down almost like genetically.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And I feel for guys. Like, I like, to be honest, I didn't always understand men. I actually really struggled with that big time. Like any woman, like we go through, just really focusing on ourselves and our emotions that we don't always take a moment to really understand men. But it's also when we try to, it's hard because they don't let us in. Like, let's just be honest, they don't let anybody in and they don't even let themselves in, to be honest. It's just like really
Yeah.
in denial and then just cope, find a way to cope. But I understand that because I feel like my history and what I've gone through and traumas, I was in the fight or flight at a very young age. And coping for me was abusing myself physically, mentally, and emotionally. Right.
Mhm.
So I can't even imagine how much harder it is for men because they don't have the outlets like we do. I have girlfriends or there's women's circles or all these support and we're naturally able to be a little bit more vulnerable compared to men. However, for me to shed the layers and be vulnerable to even show that emotion is incredibly difficult. And
Mhm.
I have to still guide myself and coach myself into letting go, to surrender and be authentic, which took me years to get to. And I don't like it. I don't like shedding those layers to be that vulnerable, but I know I have to because I want to grow. And so I can't even begin to imagine how much work men have to do to even get to that point when women struggle with that. And we
Well,
have so much support.
the thing is too is, you know, you want to go talk to your friends as being a man to another man, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're thinking, oh, then I'm gonna look weak, you know, and then what are they gonna look at me? They're gonna call me this, they're gonna call me that, right? And it's that pressure of not looking weak, trying to be strong, because that's what a man is at the end of the day. And then
Yeah.
that's where it just starts bearing inside, and then it just blows up.
Well,
Yeah, I
and
didn't always understand.
the only socially acceptable emotional response that men have is anger.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we are programmed from such a young age that no matter what we're feeling, it's got to be anger. So even if we're sad, we have to be angry at something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, even if we're, I don't want to say happy, like we can be happy because we don't have to show that as an emotion. You know what I mean? We can just be okay inside, quote unquote okay.
Yeah.
But anger is like the only thing that we're taught that we're allowed to feel. We can't show weakness, or we can't be sad or upset because, like Eric said, like we're programmed to think that that's weak and that's like you're a fucking pussy. But you know,
Well, exactly.
yeah.
But you know
Well,
what?
that's the thing is,
A lot of problems too, though, is there is a lot of women out there, and I'm not saying every single one, right? Don't get me wrong, right? And this goes both ways, though, too.
Mhm.
But a lot of women will want, you know, a vulnerable man, right? So then the man be's vulnerable, but then as soon as he's
it's
that,
too
oh,
vulnerable.
that's two. So now you're a pussy. So
Yeah.
now
Well,
you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. You know,
yeah.
and that's a lot of times where
It's
people get
like
stuck in.
just like, you want a man to be vulnerable but not overly too vulnerable, otherwise they're
Yeah.
too sensitive and that's such a turnoff. And then you want a man to be super manly, but then if he's over the top manly, then he's just controlling and an asshole and like,
Yeah.
too like physically or violent, right? Or just too much. So
Yeah.
that like happy medium is really hard to find because it also depends on the mood too, right? Sometimes like both ways. Like it depends on a guy's mood and a woman's mood, but at the same time, like let's be honest, women are moody,
Yeah.
right? And so we all deal and cope differently, but I mean, men can be moody, but when they're moody, they're angry, right?
Yeah.
Then when they're moody, they're grumpy, they're angry. Women, when they're moody, they're just bitchy and they just complain and whine and bitch and just like, meh, 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 So it's no different, but it's just more acceptable for women because it's just known that women can get pretty bitchy and like just complain and whine. And men, it's accepted that they're just violent. It's not okay, but it's accepted for you to be angry and violent more so than it's accepted for you to be sensitive and cry.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. And I think that's just because society has really hardwired us to be that way, which is really sad. And this is where, for sound bath meditation, out of all the things that I've done, yoga, meditation, and this is the one thing is I absolutely hated meditation. Like all this shit, I called it not woo woo shit, but I called it hokey pokey shit. And somehow I became the hokey pokey shit. And now I'm trying to convince people of this hokey pokey shit, but it's not hokey pokey shit. At the end of the day, it's been around for thousands of years, and it was back then the only form of medicine that you could use. It's energy
Yeah.
and vibration. That's all it is. Everything in this world is energy and vibration. So are you. Everything around you is energy vibration. Everything in you around you is energy vibration. And if you don't think that energy and vibration doesn't affect you, then you're just living in a whole different world of in denial.
Well, and speaking on that, like you had posted something about that on Facebook the other day, and I thought it was a fucking wicked post. Like we walk around with these things in our hands, and we believe that we can receive messages through imaginary airwaves in some form of energy to our phones. But when it comes to our own shit, we're just like, no, that's fucking dumb. There's
We
no
don't
way.
believe it.
Yeah.
It's like how do you think that's being transmitted? You can talk to someone on the other side of the world on a cell phone that's not connected to a wire.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you think that's happening?
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
electricity and energy. Everything is energy. And if you think like, and this, I get it. I didn't understand any of this. Even when I went into sound bath and meditation, I didn't understand the whole concept of energy vibration. I remember like when I got mentored through my mentorship for sound healing, I didn't understand what he was teaching when it came to vibrations and hertz. I didn't even know how to use the lingo to, you know, teach this to my class other than playing the instruments, which I was musically inclined. So that was easy for me to learn how to play the instruments. But when it came to facilitating and explaining how this magic works, I didn't fully understand that. And I couldn't even enunciate like pronunciate the words like the sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Like those are tongue twisters. But simply put, it's just your fight or flight and rest and digest. Your nervous system has two systems and it has to have both in order to function. You can't go one without the other, but you can't go extreme on one end and not the other. Well, how often do you find yourself in rest and digest extremely and very like, you know, not very often in fight or flight? Like
Only when I'm laying
tell
in a
me who in
fucking
this
bed
world
live
that
in
you
fight
know,
or
from the
flight.
ceiling. Yeah.
I live in
right?
fight or flight.
And this is also, especially with men, like you have to release all that energy that's pent up and stuck, right? What happens if you put energy into like a container? What happens if you keep adding energy into it? It's going to
Yeah,
fucking
Probably
explode.
Yeah.
Explode.
So what do you think is happening in our body? The energy that you're absorbing, you know, when you walk into a room, you can totally sense like if it's tense, you're just like, oh, this is awkward.
Yeah.
No one has to say anything, but you can totally tell if something happened. And like, let's say some like family events, that's a good one, right? You know, sometimes awkward shit happens. And like, let's say you go to like a family gathering and some relative or family just got in a little bit of a argument or whatever. And then everybody's just kind of like, fuck, right?
Usually
And
those
then
are
you
at
kind of just
weddings.
walk, right?
Yeah.
You just
Someone
walk
gets
in
too
and you're
drunk.
like, something is off, right?
Yeah.
What, like you have psychic abilities? Well, actually you do. It's psychic abilities is just intuition. That's it. It's your gut.
Yeah.
It's your fucking gut. That's it. And we all have the ability to intuitively pick up on things, which you're just really intuitively picking up on energy, right? And energy affects us. That's why when we go out in nature, there's a certain frequency and hertz that happens in nature that grounds us. That's why when you ground yourself in nature and go walk in nature right away, you're bringing the energy from your surrounding is bringing you into that grounding state. That's why you feel good when you're in nature. Like in males terms, like men, they love to go hunting. They love going fishing, right? Being in nature and doing that kind of stuff, it grounds them. But that's because you're so close to nature, and nature is grounding because the frequency and the energy and the vibration in nature is the grounding frequency and energy at the hertz where it is actually grounding. And so when you're surrounded by that environment, naturally your body's absorbing that. So you are coming to the level of grounding of the natural energy of the earth and nature.
Yeah.
When you walk into a room where people are fighting or like, you know, really amped up, you're walking into a surrounding and energy full of just this high vibration of people. Like, or even when you walk into a rave, like Eric, you love raves,
I
right?
love 'em.
Naturally, you walk in, you could be in your worst fucking mood, and then you walk in and everyone's pumping, all the energy's
100%.
going, and everyone's having a great time, and it just changes your mood because
Yeah.
it's energy. And that's why I'm so passionate about, because it took me a long time to understand that. And when I started piecing things together, because I'm like, why does this work for everybody? I don't understand, because I made it my mission to make this accessible to everyday people. I don't want the people that's in wellness. I don't want the people who's doing yoga. I don't want the people who's in fitness and all of that. Those people already do things to nurture themselves and self-care not just in a way that is superficial on the surface, but actually taking care of their engine in their body.
Yeah.
Right. And so they don't need to be convinced, and they don't need to do it as often because they're already doing other modalities that is helping their nervous system and helping their stress level. Now, the people who don't do that, their minds are blown. And I'm like, why does this work every time?
Yeah.
in the first time. You have people going to yoga or meditation, like, no, it's not for me. I did it the first time. It's not for me. I get that because that was me. Because I have severe levels of ADHD, which I wasn't even diagnosed with until last year when I, did a lot of work. And I'm like, why can I still not piece this shit together? I'm almost there, but something's not linking and something's still throwing me off. And I've done so much work to pull my shit together and my life together to try to manage myself from being such a shit show. But what is it? And, I've been put on antidepressants and anxiety medication for over 10 years, got really addicted to it, and I couldn't get myself off of it. And then I became super dependent on it. And if I missed a dosage for a few hours, I really fucking felt like I was on withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
And some days it was like really bad where I'm like, fuck, I don't do cocaine, but I feel like I'm having a fucking cocaine withdrawal. Not even like a weed high that I'm withdrawing from. You don't feel that, but like it was extreme where I couldn't function as a person. I couldn't see straight. I couldn't talk without slurring. And I'm like, what the hell, right?
Yep.
But I couldn't even control that. And that's because medication, yes, take it when you need it. I needed it. It saved my life. But that is just a Band-Aid to a temporary solution because that just blocks your neurotransmitters, right? It just stabilizes your mood, blocks your neurotransmitters so that you don't go off the deep end, but you also don't go straight into a deep depressive state or a happy high. It's just numbing like this.
Yeah.
And the longer you're on it, you just keep numbing, or then you plateau and then you kind of spiral down. You don't go super down. You could, but then it's like, what, do I fucking keep doing this for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
And then let my kids watch me go this route for them to just turn out exactly the same?
Yeah.
And this is where, for me, I was blessed to accidentally love meditation after a year. I absolutely hate it because it made me angry, which I'm like, grilled my first teacher, like, why did I do meditation? And everybody says it's supposed to be relaxing, but I'm fucking angry right now because I'm emotional. Because I don't want to let my feelings up.
Yeah.
Because those feelings hurt. I fucking hate that feeling. I've done nothing but spend my whole life trying to avoid that emotional pain. I've spent my whole teenage years cutting myself just to numb that pain because I didn't have substance to turn to. And then, some of my adult life to turn to different types of substances or addictions or unhealthy behaviors that was just allowing me to survive, right?
Well, can I say one thing about the sound baths? This is why I think, from my own experience, I think the reason why a sound bath is so beneficial, and I also want to talk about the way that you do it too, which is really intriguing to me. You said it earlier, and we've obviously talked about, but like you said, you don't go for the yogis, you go for the everyday people. And I think the reason that a sound bath is so beneficial for those types of people, just everyday people, is because you as an everyday person just have to show up and experience it. There's no learning anything, like the breath work thing. Like when I say breath work, it was 5 minutes of deep breath in, hold it for 8 seconds, breathe out, like that's it.
Nothing intense. Yeah.
You don't have to go into it. You don't have to learn anything. You don't have to perfect anything. You don't feel stupid. You just you feel a little bit stupid because it's not a normal situation that you're in.
It's not.
But you are literally just facilitating the experience for everyday people. And you do an outstanding job at facilitating it.
Thank you.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah. And I feel like you get the utmost joy out of what you do simply because you get to see the most profound alteration in a person when they do it because they've never done it. Like you feed off of people like us.
It's
amazing. Who don't belong in fucking yoga studios.
Well, I wouldn't say don't belong, but
don't go there.
Don't feel comfortable, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing this is why it's mind-blowing to me because one, I know what that feels like. And yeah, I wore the Lululemon clothes and look like I do yoga, but fuck, I did not do yoga. I didn't do any sort of exercise at all. I was musically inclined and just very artsy.
Yep.
But when it came to sports, I sucked at it, right? Like I didn't have any interest in that at all. I was told to go to yoga like for a very long time by my doctor, and he refused to give me injections for my chronic pain and arthritis because I was in my 20s. right? I put out my back and I like really abused my body physically. And my body started shutting down on me at a very young age in my 20s because of the amount of fight or flight I was in an earlier stage than that. And maybe this is too much information, but it was so bad that I was in that fight or flight and had trauma since a childhood age, where when you're supposed to be developing naturally, when you have that high level of cortisol and you're always trying to survive and you're always in danger 24/7, and then you're living in your head, putting yourself in danger, whether you actually are physically in danger or you're just putting yourself there mentally, which we all know we do by even just thinking about something, or someone texts us something that isn't so pleasant and then we're just in our heads. Your nervous system and your body doesn't know the difference between that fight or flight of being actually in danger when somebody is threatening your life, or you watching Netflix and there's like a really exciting suspension to the end of the episode and you're just binge watching it because it's super exciting, or somebody just sent you a text message that you didn't like, or you thought about something that somebody said the other day that just triggered you, or just then.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing, is like, this is where that analogy, like I told you guys, comes to, you know, I've really pieced things together because it wasn't just from first learning from like looking at people. It really came from doing the work myself to understand my mental health, my nervous system, understanding what it felt like to feel into that, because you don't know what the target is or how to get there if you don't actually, if you've never experienced it.
That's
So
right.
when it's like, okay, what is calm to you? Calm looks different for every single person. Calm, I mean, we do things to calm ourselves in our understanding of what calm is based on our experience. And then there's the calm of that real parasympathetic nervous system on a cellular level, on a biological level, on a human physical level. The calm of rest and digest only happens when you're sleeping, but you don't fucking remember it because you're dead asleep. And then you wake up and you're like, I don't remember a thing. But your body recovers during that time. And that's why they always say sleep is important. But the quality of your sleep is also important. You can sleep for 9 hours, but if you're fucking in your head before that and you had anxiety and you've been dealing with a lot of stress, like you, Eric, like you had panic attacks that you thought like was like, you know, like could be like a heart attack. I was almost thinking like, fuck, are you having a heart attack or something like that? But that amount of stress, right? You may not physically be going through it like something in that moment to stress you out, but your nervous system is being stretched really thin by being in that state, that it's always constantly in that state. And just like the analogy of the engine, like Anthony, you said something amazing last week when you were here, is like, you were like, man, my car, that baby, I never let the gas tank go below half ever.
Yep.
And you're like, own that shit. Like, you know, like that is your fucking baby. You never mistreat that ever. Right.
Yep.
You love the shit out of that. Well, guess what? If you're, and that's amazing. You take really good care of that engine. You take really good care of that car. You baby the shit out of that car. You do the maintenance on it. Also, a car, you have to turn it off. You can't keep running it all day long. Right.
Yep.
But nobody ever connects the pieces where it's like, well, what about your fucking engine in your body? What's driving you every single day to live and show up in life? That's taking you from one destination to the other, to get you from your bed to, you know, getting ready and getting out the door and going to work and making money and like living life. What the fuck is taking you through life?
Yeah.
Right. And so when you abuse that like that engine, and yes, when you are like a brand new car, you can really get away with a lot, right? Just like, you know, you have a race car, you can really, really, you know, take it down like the highway and really do some, you know,
Open her up.
Yeah.
right? But eventually you keep doing that and you don't maintain that engine. Well, you're not going to be able to keep doing that for very long. At some point, it's just going to die out on you. But you can buy a new car, you can buy a new engine, but you can't buy a new engine in your fucking body. Your engine is your nervous system. Your nervous system is connected to every single organ, everything in your body, right? And so that's like not turning off your car ever. When you don't shut down your mind, you're not turning that car off, right? And what maintenance are you doing on a daily basis? You don't have to do a whole lot, but a little bit of maintenance goes a long way each day. Or, you know, whether you do your oil change every X amount of months, like 2-3 months, right? How often do you ever do that self-care where you feel the way you felt after you came out of that sound bath? How often did you actually feel that calm, that parasympathetic nervous system calm? Never.
I was gonna say I couldn't tell you if there was
Yeah.
ever a time that I felt like that.
It was
Right? And
very
when was the
euphoric,
last time?
definitely.
Yeah. And when was the last time do you remember that you could actually get out of your brain without telling yourself to get out of your brain and drive yourself nuts, telling yourself to stop thinking?
I'll say this: when you came to Eric's to do the second one, like you noticed it in me. Like you said, I fell into it a lot
Right away.
quicker. But
Yeah.
yeah, like there was stuff going on in my head in the first one,
Yep.
and it's the podcast, and I really don't give a shit, so I'll talk about it. And like the one thought process that I had that came up was like, why am I so fucking hard on myself that I have to do everything right the first time? Like, it's okay to fuck things up. And I didn't have any experiences before that that would lead that thought to come out, you know. But by the second one, I was able to just experience it with no noise. And
Yeah.
I've experienced the no noise before. Recovery has definitely given me that gift of we call it the radio. You lay down in bed and the
Yeah.
fucking radio turns off. I've gotten rid of the radio before, and I'm pretty good at that. But like the way that did it was so immediate. Like obviously in 12-step recovery, I have my own process of things that I do to get the radio to turn off, but that doesn't change the physical fight or flight, the nervous system, none of that. That was probably the most at fucking peace I've ever been in my life.
You looked so at peace, man.
Oh yeah.
Fuck,
I
dude.
have a video
Yeah.
when you came out. This is why I also love changing men's mind about it. And this is why I'm on the podcast talking about it, and this is why I love the fact that you guys were so open to trying it, because I knew exactly what it would do for you. I've seen it over thousands of people that I facilitate that are everyday people, not people that do wellness stuff, not people in the studio. I do not actually do it very often in a yoga studio. I have a yoga background. I'm a yoga teacher, but
And
I
Reiki.
really, and Reiki, yes. And that's energy, right? But
Yep.
like you had your 12-step program. How much work did you have to do to get to that state where you actually were able to finally turn off that radio?
Oh, it was a lot of work. It was a lot
Way
of work.
more than you'd
Yeah.
had to do to lay your ass in some dinky silk sheet.
100%. 100%.
And all you had to do is
Yeah.
get over your fucking ego, right?
Yeah.
But also, like, I mean, the ego is always going to be there. Even if like, whether you're a man or a female, everyone goes in skeptical, but open to it, right? If you weren't actually open to it, there's no way you would actually come. But if you're
Yeah.
really a little bit curious or you're even a little bit open, that's all I need, right? And the one thing that I've found to do, and the way I do it very differently, is I just need one shot. That's it. I just need you to show up and lay your ass down. I don't care if you have if you're skeptical of it, or if you have, thoughts of like, man, is we're just gonna bang on some pots and pans. Like, great. I love the fact that you say shit like that. When you shared that with me, I'm like, yes, thank you. Because it only goes to show how powerful that is. That you can go from being like, man, this is some dinky gay ass shit in the silk sheets, but we're going to try it. And let's just see how good it is, to going like, holy fuck, I've never felt that in my life. And I asked you, Anthony, I was like, listen, as a person who has recovered from addiction and substance abuse that's really heavy, and it's taken over your life and destroyed your life, and now you built back your life, you've experienced every type of substance and drug out there.
Yeah.
So tell me, what drug out there is there on this planet that can give you that euphoric feeling that you just had coming out of this right now?
Well, I could name a bunch, but I'll tell you the difference.
It's a different high.
Well, I'll tell you the difference. They come at a cost.
Yes.
Like a very expensive cost, and it's physical, mental, and emotional recovery that are required. Whereas this, so we call it the false sense of ease and comfort. It gives you a synthetic, expensive feeling that you still have to pay dues for, right? Like, you're popping MDMA, you're going to be sad as fuck for a week, your back's going to be sore, you're gonna be nuts. Like you're gonna be low
Your
on sleep.
jaw's misaligned. Who knows, right?
Right.
Yeah, like all this shit. You do cocaine,
Yeah.
you're gonna be up for 4 days. You're not gonna
Nose
be able
is
to
fucked.
breathe for a week. Yeah,
Not to mention how expensive it is.
yeah,
Yep.
that too. Yeah,
And it doesn't last very long, right? It doesn't last very long. You get that high and then you feel good and then you have to keep going for it. And then the aftermath afterwards, you feel like shit the next day. Well, how good did you feel the next day
Oh,
after
great.
you woke up from that sound bath?
great. Like I slept like a fucking baby. Like,
Right?
yeah,
And you know, the second sound bath that you had, it wasn't in the most comfortable position, right? You were on the couch. We didn't have a whole lot of room, but you're on the couch and you're like, my back actually hurts. But that's because you settle so much that your body completely melts. And now there's a whole other science to it that even if you were kind of in your head about it, and some people might take longer to get there depending on how stubborn their ego is. But every single person, it's just like that analogy of that surgery. When you go into surgery and you have that anesthesia, try fighting that and not falling asleep.
yeah,
You can't. At some point, it's going to knock you out. Same as a sound bath. At some point, when you lay in it long enough, and this is where they call it a sound bath. I also thought that I had to bring a bathing suit and towels and ask my girlfriend, like, okay, like, how are they going to have like 24 tubs for everybody?
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't understand like the whole bath part of it. Like, how does that even work? Well, it's not a bath. They just call it a bath, sound bath, because you're really just bathing in a soundscape of frequency and vibration. And this is where the science come in that I started realizing, and I started digging more into it and researching and understanding, because I've seen people who are highly autistic settle and come out feeling bliss, who's never been comfortable in their own skin. I literally had an older man giddily like prance out of the class with a big smile on his face because he had not ever felt that good. It was really rewarding. I've had some girl who came to a class and she sent a message to the owner of the studio and said, my dad noticed as soon as I walked into the house, he's like, you're not doing that OCD tendency that you always do when you come into the house. And she's like, oh, I didn't even notice that, because she was just so relaxed.
Mm.
And she came again and she's like, I want to actually train with you to do the sound bath, because I'm training yoga teachers too as well now. And I've seen kids who are highly autistic, who have ADHD, and you know, the EAs would come in extra hands on deck just because they're like, they didn't want them to be disruptive. Those kids were the ones that when they dropped into it, settled the longest because they needed it so bad, because
Yeah.
they nervous system is in overdrive. Having that feeling felt so good that you just want to stay in it, right? Every person that comes out, I mean, I've had a group of men at the Range Rover Whistler event. I mean, there was open bars, booze everywhere, party going on, loud, super loud and stuff, but they had like a little Zen den and I did a sound bath. And, you know, these guys are just walking in kind of like just checking out the space, had no intentions to drop into it. And they're all like in their bougie outfits and like, you know, like living their lavish lifestyle and thinking like, oh yeah, whatever. I don't need this shit. I'm just loving life and living it good because I got all this shit that makes me happy. But let's just be honest, all that materialistic things is just a cover up for how miserable you are on the inside, because you need either validation or you need material things to make you feel good. So materials, substance, all of that, it's just chasing after that feeling of feeling good. That's all.
Yeah.
That's what
But
everybody
dopamine-
wants.
Dopamine chase
Yes,
is what it
dopamine.
is.
So it's that addiction to dopamine. And I have an addiction to dopamine too. Like my brain doesn't produce enough dopamine because I have severe levels of ADHD. And also when you have trauma at a young age and you're developing, you can't actually develop and have your body develop properly, naturally, to be able to produce the hormone levels or the, you know, the chemicals that your body actually needs. So my
Yeah.
brain, I feel like my growth was stunted, not in physically like my height and stuff, like I'm not very tall, but my growth in my physical biological body and nervous system was stunted because of the trauma that I dealt with, that I had to survive in fight or flight, but also repress to hide the trauma that I was actually dealing with on a daily basis for years because I couldn't talk about it.
Mhm.
Right. And so I kept that in my body for over 30 something years. And it wasn't until I sat in a yoga class and meditation that it fucking came out. Because the second that you sit in stillness and you don't have a choice to run, like, what am I going to do? Just like leave the yoga class out of nowhere? Like, it was just really awkward to be in there. It was already awkward to walk in there. And this is why I do it for the reason of helping people, like truly, genuinely wanting to help people, because I know what it's like to hate your life so much that you don't want to live the next day. Right? We have kids. I got to the point where I love my kids and I'm like, they're better off without me because I fucking hate my life and I don't know how to fix myself. I don't know how to get better to not fuck them up psychologically, because I am so fucking psychologically fucked and I don't like my life. I hate it because every day I'm trying to fucking survive and I'm doing shit that I never thought I would be doing because I spiraled to a point where I hit a low point of really ultimate low.
Yeah.
Right. And so not only did I abuse myself physically, mentally, and emotionally, I did all that. I self-sabotaged myself and destroyed my life, a life that I built on the outside looking perfect. Nobody would have had a clue because I was really good at masking that, because I had to mask it since a very young age. And you get really good at masking shit really well but when I sat in stillness, holy shit, I couldn't control for it to come out. I couldn't control it because the stuff that the teacher was saying resonated. The practice that got my body moving released my hips and released shit in corners of my body that I never stretched or opened up. And then, things that they say that resonates with you. And sometimes they'll do a little singing bowl at the end or whatever like that. The instruments are tuned to very, very specific frequencies and tones that resonates in the brain. And this is the cool part about the science that I finally understood after seeing thousands of people, because like that Range Rover, I was like, wow, like there's like freaking like, 12 guys in here that all walked in skeptical. And they, at the end of the practice, they all laid there and was like, I'm like, guys, like, I'm not going to kick you out. Stay as long as you want, just to let you know there's still an open bar upstairs. And they're like, one guy's like, I feel like I've been reborn. The other guy's like, fuck, I don't want to drink. I just want to go home and go to bed, right? Like, I feel good. I'm good. I don't need booze. And everyone walked out. And the people that were watching these guys walk out, they were like, what the fuck did you give them? Did you give them shrooms or something? Because they look like they were on shrooms. People look like they're on shrooms every time they walk out because they're like, oh.
Speaking of shrooms, remember what two of your clients say? So when we were there?
Yeah, right. Anthony, why don't you say it?
No,
that was pretty awesome.
Because it was Eric's story. That was funny.
Yeah, they're like, so are you guys sober doing this? Right? Like, are you guys
and
on
Eric's
shrooms?
like, what? That's an option?
I was like, what? That's an option? Like, that on shrooms would be amazing.
Fuck. Yeah.
I don't
think
I'm
like advertising that. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Being a little bit high on weed or a little bit of and they do sound baths that has microdosing with it.
Yeah. Yeah, well that's the thing though. Don't worry about him. He'll be back. Oh, yeah. That's the thing. So, like it enhances everything too, right? Like with shrooms, you just microdose a little bit. I mean, like, I don't think I could do that on DMT. I've done my fair share of DMT, but that's a whole no way.
No, you're talking about like shrooms. Going into ayahuasca now, kind of like a whole other realm of things, right?
I could see them doing that. I could definitely see like witch doctors when they do.
Joe Rogan will do it for sure. We should get you on Joe Rogan to talk about sound baths. Fuck.
But you want to kind of like explain like the whole setup and how the whole walkthrough.
So I do it very.
Hold on. Yeah. Can I just say one thing? Did you take like a felt pen and draw on the back of your wall there? Or is that what happened?
No, that's like who's mine? I'm in Mexico right now.
Looks like you got a Sharpie.
No. Really? It's just the decor in here.
Okay, that makes more sense.
I'm at a resort in Mexico, and get this. Sound healing didn't just heal me. It created an opportunity for me to not only do what I love passionately, but do it in paradise. So I go to different resorts as an instructor, and and anybody could do this too. I'm actually trying to create and pave a way for meditation, wellness facilitators, sound healers, to be able to do an exchange of wellness practices for an exchange to do an all-inclusive and bring a friend along with you for like next to nothing. I've stayed at resorts that are $10,000 a week for like next to nothing, and pretty much the flight, like just the cost of my flight and the base cost of the admin fee. And it's like you would never get that deal ever. And then you get to take a friend with you. Sometimes the resorts, you can actually, my girlfriend's here. There's like Erin right here, right?
Hi.
So she's like my +1. And
Sweet.
the thing is, she's like, fuck, this is a sweet gig. And like, I mean, how good was the food and everything, right?
I think you
She's
gotta
like,
start asking for a +3, and me and Anthony will
Yeah,
come too.
yeah.
right? Well, you got to be under 12. So this is an adults only. So with an adults only resort, you can take one other adult with you. And
I was
she
just
just gets
joking,
to
Jenny.
live the resort life.
I was
Well,
just.
I'm
I
not
was
joking.
just
I'm just like, you know what? It's totally doable. Like, frick, Anthony, I'll teach you how to do this, the gong, since you love it so much.
Yeah.
And we'll get you into the hand pan. You can do it for men. And then you sign up to do the wellness exchange.
Hell yeah.
And then you take
There
Eric
you
with
go.
you. There's your +1.
There
And
you
then
go.
I've got my friend Erin there.
I seriously want to like figure out a way to get you to Ontario to like do like a few days worth of stuff here or whatever.
You don't need to figure a way. Let's just make it happen.
Yeah.
It's easy. I don't even have to bring my whole setup, but I would love to bring my gong, especially my new one.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do I transport? Or we'll just
How
have
big
to
is
Like, I
it?
love you,
look on
Jenny.
How
I
big
love
is
you,
It's
but you need to bring the
30.
gong.
Yeah. I was
I
gonna
know.
say.
You know what? I especially this gong, Anthony,
Yeah.
like you loved my other one. This one, I don't even know because you're not going to let me go home with it. I'm going to be like, fuck you.
That's
Like,
fine. I'll
go
pay
get your
for
own
it.
gong.
That's fine. Well, bring
No,
me the
fuck,
other
you
one.
can't.
Then. Bring
There's
both.
no amount of money that
Yeah.
can make you like, unless you're going to buy me like a 6-foot gong, I'll trade you in for that. But you're not taking this gong. This gong is special.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
And-
we seriously should like we should do it so that it makes sense for you though. You know, like if you actually want to do it, we can actually have a serious talk and see if we can figure some stuff out and get you out here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for that. And this is why, I've gone into these areas and I'm talking to you guys. I mean, I came to a CA meeting with you, which
Yeah.
is a whole other story because that experience it opened up a whole other door for me. And that was healing for me too. Healing for
We
me
just
in a
have
way
to
that I didn't
be-
even know I needed.
Have to be careful about
Yeah.
what we say just based on anonymity
Right.
purposes.
Yes. So, I mean, and that's the thing is like, for me, I'm open and I want to reach out to everyday people in every single type of background, experiences, and life story. We're all
Yeah.
humans at the end of the day, and we all want the same thing. Like, I don't care what you say, even if your goals are different, the one thing that every human being wants is peace and joy.
Yeah.
At the
Yep.
very, very end. Why do you work so hard to make tons of money? Because you're trying to chase after happiness.
Yeah.
I mean, your happiness might look different than someone's version of what happiness is to them. I mean, but I can tell you, no amount of materials can actually give the true joy of authentically being yourself and comfortable in your own skin.
I was gonna say one thing that I've learned is like happiness isn't found out here. It's within you.
No, it's all in here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you find it inside.
So how can you find that if the inside of you is garbage?
Yeah, exactly. Literally.
But
Okay,
the garbage.
Hold on.
Ah.
Hold on.
All right,
I mean,
let's hear it, Eric.
to an extent, you can buy happiness. Okay, to an extent, you can. And like I know a lot of people
Yes.
say you can't buy it, but to an extent, yeah,
can.
you can. Oh, and hate me as much as you want, but I mean, imagine this: you are broke as fuck, got no food in your fridge, you're just worried about how you're gonna pay rent. You go buy a lotto ticket, boom, you're $60 million. Yeah, it may be just, well, you'll probably be happy for a long time then. But it's a different type of happiness.
Depends on how fast you can piss that money away, Eric.
I can,
And I
I can do it fast. You know that.
Yeah, so it might
I
not
don't
last
think
you that long. You can piss it fast.
No, but I
don't
mean,
think
like,
that's
so
happiness either. I
no,
don't.
but it's a different level. I would have to say it's
It's-
not.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't like happiness
what
is
you mean.
health, good. Like I totally that. But to an
No.
extent, you can buy it. Oh,
Yes.
my mic keeps
I'm
on
not, and that's the
you
thing is
know?
I'm not talking about that happiness. That is I mean, like I said, there's all levels of happiness.
Yeah.
But at the end of your life, when you're kind of done with the bullshit and you're done with the drama, you're done with the shit, you have everything you want. At the end of your life, you just want fucking peace. You just want
Yeah.
peace of mind.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
You can
Yeah.
have all the riches in the world, and let's say you drive the best car and have the nicest house and all the materials, you don't even have to look at a price tag. But tell me, Eric, how much would you want to keep living that and disturb your peace and always be in like this drama phase or fight or flight and always feel anxiety and stress?
Never,
And
man.
then,
I don't want to feel like that.
right. So, but let's say you have less and don't have all those things, but you have your peace of mind. You don't have anxiety and fears, and you can just comfortably be in your body, your own skin, and
Oh,
in your
definitely.
nervous system where you don't feel like it's shaking you.
Yeah.
I have everything.
That is like true happiness. Don't get me wrong.
Yes,
You
true
know, don't
happiness
yeah.
where you are
Yeah.
unshakable, right? I'm not talking about the
Yeah.
surface
And
level happiness.
abundance. Having
Yes,
abundance of just good people, good stuff, just good
yes,
abundance around you.
right? So you
Definitely.
can have the most lavish things and the most rich people around you that has all of the like nice cars and home and all that shit. But yes, on the surface level, it makes you happy when you go party and do this.
Surface
But
level happiness.
behind closed doors at the end of the day, when it's just you and yourself, and don't forget, you came here yourself, going by yourself. You're not taking anyone with you. You're not
Or
taking
anything.
anything with you.
Yeah.
The only thing you can take is literally just your pride and your like in the fact that you know what, you lived out a good life and that you feel whole and satisfied and don't have regrets.
It's sitting
And
on
then
your
whatever
hospital
legacy you
bed,
leave behind.
right?
Yeah.
It's sitting
And
on your hospital and looking back and saying, you know, was I happy with everything that I did?
did
But
I
like,
make the most of it?
don't get
Yeah.
me wrong. When I was saying though, like it's just surface level happy, but it's still
No, I know.
happiness.
Yes, of
You
course.
know what I mean? It is. It's
Like frick, I just went and bought myself a bunch of like jewelry and that made me happy
hey,
today.
you're in Mexico. You're pretty fucking happy, are you not?
Yeah.
There you go. That's all I'm saying.
I mean,
right?
it would be really messed up if I'm in Mexico doing what I absolutely passionately love and having
Not
people
be
like
happy.
mind blown. I mean, I've had the Anthony reaction. I'm just going to start calling it the Anthony reaction.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it only took me 2 minutes to do that for one of the guys in the entertainment club, like one of the staff here. And he can see that people walked out like really melted and stuff. But then when I'm like, sit your ass down and gave him 2 minutes, he's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because until you actually feel it, you have nothing to compare to.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't.
There's no words in the dictionary that you could put in sequence to
No.
make it make sense until you
Yeah.
actually
No.
feel what the fuck it is.
Right.
You know,
so sound bath is just sit your ass down and just try it.
Just sit down, shut up, and just fucking feel it out.
So Joe Rogan has the Joe Rogan experience. We have the Anthony experience.
No,
Right?
we
Yeah.
have the Zen Jen experience.
Yeah, but yours, what she's talking about is your experience.
Your reaction
Yeah.
was, I'm not even exaggerating. Like your reaction was so good. And of all the people that I've done, like, I mean, like other than that one autistic man who came in like this, like in his, like he can't even be in the skin where he has to like flick at himself and like do this. I was kind of like, okay, shit, this can go really good or really bad. And I have to be really mindful because like with autistic people, it's like light sensitivity and sound sensitivity. Anything can trigger them and they could be really relaxed. But the second that one little thing triggers them, like it could really disrupt the whole entire meditation and ruin it for everyone else.
Yeah.
But I was confident enough in my abilities that I paid really close attention to how it was resonating in his nervous system. And I would feed off of like looking at his reaction, his energy. And I brought him into the practice to make it safe where I got down to his level, allowed for him not to only like feel the vibrations, but even touch the instruments, hold the instruments and soothe himself.
Yeah.
And that gave him safety to feel like it's like trusted. So you can just bang on these pots and pans. They're not hard to do. Like you don't even need to know how to play these instruments. It's not like learning how to play the guitar where you have to learn notes and the theory of it. It's just letting out sounds of frequency, vibration, and all of the instruments are already made to let out something that is soothing.
But there is a method to your madness
gonna
behind
say-
it.
There is. But
Do
even if
you
you sucked at it,
Do you have like a certain way that you orchestrate it in the way that you
Yeah, I
play the
do.
sounds? Or is it based off of your group that you're with?
No. So this is where I really pride myself, and I'm not like, kind of like putting myself on a pedestal and stuff like that. It's just
Do
I'm
it.
that confident in
Fucking
it.
do it.
It's honestly, my intention is so pure as to why I do it the way I do it that, I've had people come to me and say, like, Jenny, like, I've gone to sound baths in California or LA or like all the hot places that have the latest trendy sound baths. And honestly, yours is like by far one of the best, if not the best sound bath I've ever done. And that's because, like I said, it's not just in the instruments. The instruments facilitate, to get you there. And I use it as a catalyst. And this is where it's the change for me is MindWave and the way I do sound bath isn't in the sound bath itself. The sound bath is just a catalyst to plant seeds of transformation. So what I do is I inspire people, but I make it safe for them to feel safe, to open up vulnerably, to feel like they're in a safe space with no judgment, no expectations, no, like, nothing at all, right? Like, just, okay, this is a safe space. This is open. Maybe it feels safe. The energy is safe. I set the intention for that. And my intentions of why I do it, my why is nothing but nourishing and like really like passionately. I truly want to help people because I've been in that darkness. I know what it feels like to absolutely hate your life so much that you don't want to wake up the next day. I've lived that for basically my whole life. I'm turning 40 in a couple of months, and I spent the last over 30 years hating my life, just surviving. And no one should live that way. And then feeling like there is no fucking light at the end of the tunnel, that they keep saying there's a light at the end of the tunnel, just keep going. But I kept going to survive, but there was no light. And the second that I had a little glimpse of light, which is over 1 year of doing yoga and meditation, I finally experienced that Zen, that moment of what you felt, Anthony, where you're like, holy fuck. I remember that state and that time so vividly that I was like, holy shit, like, this is what the Zen that they're talking about. Like when you think of Buddhas and monks and like that blissful, like, flute playing, like waterfall type of like Zen, that bliss. I'm like, this is what it feels like. Holy shit. That feels fucking good. How do I get more of that? A little bit more every day. Because it was so foreign to me to get to that state. Because for once, my brain actually shut down the noises. My body finally let go of the tension and just melted to be comfortable in the presence of stillness. But it should not take 1 year. And the only reason that I kept going, not because I wanted to, I hated meditation the first time I did it. I was angry at my teacher and I'm like, what the fuck is this emotion and feeling? I hate it. I'll never go back again. In my head, I knew that I had to because it was the only thing that was going to help me get to saving myself if I had a chance to survive and live, truly. Yeah. And I couldn't keep relying on medication because it just was numbing to me. I needed something more. I didn't want to keep surviving anymore. I was sick of it. I was so tired.
Temporary Band-Aid.
No. And I was at the point where I'm like, okay, it's not even a matter of not wanting to live life anymore. I want to live now, but I'm fighting for my life every single day to survive every single day. I can't even get up to brush my teeth or comb my hair.
It's a fucking chore, yeah.
The basic thing, it was like I was crippled in bed. There was days I would lay in bed for 5 days, didn't eat, didn't sleep, didn't drink water, nothing. I just wanted to wither away and wish my life away.
Yeah.
And, like to be able to then go from that to have that bliss, it's like I hated my home life more than I hated going to yoga and meditation. And so that was my only safe place that I could go to every night to just get away from the chaos and figure my shit out because I didn't know what to do anymore. I was stuck. I was stuck in the same fucking story, the same fucking cycle over and over and over again. And I was at the point where I'm like, okay, it's not even a matter of I don't want to live anymore. It's like, at what point do I burn out and I'm too exhausted to fight anymore? Because I'm starting to feel like I'm starting to lose this battle. At what point do I lose this battle with mental health? Lost the battle before by giving up and throwing in the towel. But this time it's like, I'm not throwing in the towel. I refuse to because I've made a promise to my son that day
that I will never get to that darkness ever again. Never. I will never do that, because when I realized that I could be the reason why I psychologically fuck him for the rest of his life, and I know what that feels like growing up being psychologically fucked and messed, I don't want to put that on my kids.
It's not
And
fair.
I'm
Yeah.
still here now. Like, fuck, I'm still here. I didn't accomplish what I did, but it woke the fuck out of me. Like, what the fuck would my kids do if I wasn't here anymore? Because they absolutely adore me.
Yeah.
And then the way I would have left, that's like devastating and tragic. And he was only 3. My daughter was only a year and a half. She wouldn't have even remembered me or known me. Right. And so it's like, wow, like, holy shit. Like, is that the type of mom you want to be, to leave your kids with that burden their whole entire life? Then why the fuck did you even bring them into this world? That's just cruel. Right? So I made that promise, but when I started getting back to that darkness again, I'm just like, fuck, it shouldn't take a full year for you to get to that state. I do it to people in 10 minutes. Like, I just did a market in like a wellness forum, and there was hundreds of people. There was music bumping, people dancing. It was loud. And I'm on the stage in the middle, smack middle of all this. And I call it Zen in 10. And I was able to get people in that state to get out of their mind and melt. And they didn't care about what was going on around them. That's what I love. They're like, a lot of people were like, I don't know, I should try this out because it's really loud. I don't know if I can really meditate right in this state. I'm like, this is exactly why I have it on a stage in the middle of the loudness. It's to show you that your brain, your mind is so much more powerful than you even give it credit for. But nobody teaches you how to guide you into that state. But if you can show somebody without them having to do much work, and like struggle and be challenged in that, holy shit, you win them over like that. And I've done it over and over and over again many times, but it was trial and error. It was like, Jen, put yourself in the state of when you were in that state. You know, what was your thought process? You know, and when you hit that state of Zen and stuff, how did you feel? How did you feel when you first walked into a yoga studio or even thought about it? Right? Like, it's like, I've gone to the yoga studio and turned back and be like, fuck, this isn't for me. It's like a cult. Like,
You
that's
did
my
that with
honest
me and
truth.
Anthony. You walked us through it. We came in there with one idea and walked out with a different one.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I'm able to shift that mindset and convince people, not even convince. I just need them in that door, but it's how you approach that to them. It has to resonate and make sense to people, right? You know, and they have to be ready to receive it. So I'm not going to go and convince somebody who's not open and willing to, but if there is an opportunity and they're kind of curious, I just have to explain some things that make logical sense. Because for me, things have to make logical sense and sound for me to even try it. Otherwise, it's just like, it's fucking hokey pokey shit. Right. And so when I'm like, holy shit, it should not take a year to get to this state. It needs to be like immediate. Like, how many people go to yoga or meditation? Like, no, that's not for me, because they just went to a class that just wasn't the right teacher for them or the right practice. But if you ever experienced stress in your life, this class is for you.
Never.
Do you?
Never.
Right?
What would you say?
And that's because I know what's going in your head, because I did this exact same thing. I thought the same exact thing. And so I'm like, okay, the only way to convince people, the work, if they show up, it'll do its work. But how do I convince people? The only way to convince people is to get into their brain and make them understand that you know what's going on in their head. Because they're like, fuck, are you in my brain? You know exactly what I'm thinking? Yeah, I know what you're thinking because I was there. And then just speak the truth of it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that you think it was so.
No bullshit around it.
No. And this is why, like, Raw Minds is also amazing, because there is no bullshit around that. People are tired of the bullshit. Stop feeding me fucking bullshit and just say it straight up how it is and let me make the decision. Don't tell me what to think. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to feel. I don't tell you how to feel, what to think, what to do. I just say, come, show up.
Yeah.
This shit is science. Frequency, vibration, literally all this vibration is at a very specific hertz. And when you look at the table chart of like brain waves, this is where the magic happens. It's not magic. It's just, this manipulates, just like medicine, synthetic drugs alters your brain state and your mind, right? And your chemicals to manipulate it to shift. Well, sound And vibration at a certain frequency and hertz actually brings your brainwaves by neural beats, bring your brainwaves to a certain state. And this is what people don't understand. And I get it. I didn't understand that. It took me thousands of people that I like, why is this working for every single person, including children, babies, like people of every sort, cancer, OCD, autistic people, ADHD, anxiety, you name it, because it all has to do with de-stressing that nervous system,
Mm-hmm.
resetting that nervous system so that the body can recover. The body is so powerful. When you get injured or when you get hurt or you get a cut, what's healing you? It's not the polysporin or the Band-Aid. That's just helping, aiding it. But your body naturally
Your body,
is what's healing you. Your body is healing. It is so powerful. There's people who have miracle stories, who have fought off cancer, fought off this and fought off that, right?
My
So
mom
when you
beat
actually
brain
let
cancer.
your, yeah, right?
Yeah.
But when
yeah.
you let, and that's the thing is, if you get in that negative mindset, you're going to die even faster
Mhm.
because you're bringing that cortisol level and stress into your body. And so this is where the disease happens. Is disease is just simply dis-ease.
Yeah.
Take those two words and separate them. Disease is dis-ease to your nervous system. How shaken up is your fucking nervous system? Simple as that.
Mine's always fucked until we met.
Yeah.
Now
Right.
it's
And there's
good.
so many forms of therapy, right? I'm not
Yeah.
saying that sound is the only one, but for me, I have yet to find some sort of modality or some sort of holistic, natural medicine that can get you there instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And not to cure all your problems instantly, but to give you a sense of like, okay, I don't need to believe this or convince myself to believe it. I believe it because I felt it.
Yeah. Well, even to
How
just
else
give
do you believe
yourself that
things?
fucking break to breathe for a minute.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean, even if it
Shut
is
this
just
off.
a minute, yeah. Like,
Even if you don't breathe, just get out of here. How
Yeah.
nice is it just fucking just stop thinking for, but how often can you train yourself in that set? It's really hard when you've hardwired yourself to overthink everything and second guess everything. So everything that you're telling yourself in your brain becomes the reality of what you're actually living in.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just perceptions. They are based on what you see and think.
yes.
So
Yeah.
you see something, but I can see the same thing and I'm going to think something different than what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Say, looking at clouds, I may see like a big, I don't know, unicorn
Bunny
riding a
or dragon.
tricycle or something, right?
It's the
And
same
you-
fucking cloud.
Yeah, and you see
But
something
your
else.
understanding of it is different. And that is based on your experience. That is based
Yeah.
on the makeup of you, right? So whatever you're seeing and perceiving, you're telling yourself in your brain exactly what you think the reality is, but it could be so far from the reality,
Yeah, it's true.
right? We could be living in the same reality right now and we could totally be seeing different things. Like, how do I know that you're actually seeing the same background lines as what Anthony's seeing?
Yeah. I'm
Mhm.
probably
My
looking
understanding
at
of it is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. My understanding of it is different than yours. And this is where, we don't ever give ourselves the time to really think about this and connect the dots of how it all makes sense. When you start making sense and it start making sense to other people's mind, you got their attention because it's like, holy fuck, you're right. I never saw it that way.
What do
It's
you
just
find is
logical
the
sense.
biggest challenge that you have when introducing people to sound baths? Because I don't feel like you're out on the street handing out flyers. I don't think you fucking need to.
No.
But like
No.
when you go to an event, first of all, how do you introduce your practice to like an event? Because I know you were at the one the week I left. The Sunday you had an event, and then I know
Yeah.
the Range Rover
I think
one.
Eric
So, like,
popped by for that event. Yeah.
I did, yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
how do you, first of all, how do you approach an event like that? And then secondly, when you're at the event, how do you entice people in without having to like quote unquote promote it?
Are you talking about like
what's your-
getting into the event? Like, how do you get into it?
Yeah, like how do you approach like someone having the event being like, this is what I do? And then secondly, like what's your biggest challenge once you get in there to bring people into you?
So same shit that I did to you guys. I just
Yeah.
say the truth. I'm just like, it resonates with people because everybody experiences stress, especially nowadays in this
Yeah.
society. It's fucking tough. And everybody is over overworked, overstimulated, and constantly always on. Especially, I mean, I love my cell phone, but how often do you misplace this and you're like, holy fuck, my life is like it's over.
Yeah.
Right? I'm very forgetful. I fucking forget shit all the time and have no idea where things are, but I will always be able to find this thing.
Yeah.
Right? And it'll be my priority to find it, right? But you know, that's the thing is like when you can just relate to other people, there's no convincing, right? And when you do something out of passion, people can feel that and they can see the authenticity of it. Just like you guys being authentic, right? People can see through the fake shit.
Yeah.
Right? If you're fake, you might not be able to see through the fakeness, but if you're real, genuinely, you can see that from other people, right? It's your energy, it's how you show up, how you present yourself, and your why. Why are you doing this? I'm not doing this to sell anything. Like the guys that were downstairs, like, okay, well, what are you trying to sell me on right now? Like, what are you trying to sell me? I'm like, I'm not selling you on anything. I'm like, all I'm saying is just close your eyes and let me play this over your head, and the rest will just, that's it. Okay, simple enough. Sure. Okay. But I'm like, I don't need to convince you. I just need to at least get your attention to be curious. That's it.
Yeah.
People are naturally curious. So all you have to do is just make them curious. So you just have to present it in a way that's not boring, that piques their interest, that is different. And that's the thing is, it all comes back down to just being comfortable in your fucking skin. Just be you.
Yeah.
I have no shame. I just say it straight up how it is. Yes, sometimes strategically you have to like approach, like, of course, like those guys approach it differently because it's like, who the fuck is gonna, like, these are rough guys around the edge who've just been doing acid all weekend long, right?
Yeah.
And I'm
you
just
gotta
like
gauge. You gotta gauge.
Yeah,
your
so I have to, and that's the thing is, when you become intuitive, when you're comfortable in your own body, your own skin, and you understand yourself, like there's no way I can do it if I didn't do the healing on myself. Like I was a completely different person long ago.
Yeah.
There is no healing people or convincing people when you're a fucking shit show yourself. But when you're confident in yourself, that is obvious. You can tell people that are insecure. You can tell people that are confident. There's a difference between me putting myself on a pedestal and being like, my sound bath is the best shit ever, right? And really selling it out there. And then there's the confidence of like, I genuinely am very confident in what I do because I've done it a lot and I've seen what it's done for other people. And if you give me a chance and you're curious about it, then all you have to do is just be open and just sit even for a minute.
Yeah.
Well, who the fuck isn't going to give you a minute? Okay, sure. I'm really nice about it. So even if they didn't believe it, they're like, well, at least she's kind of nice about it. Like, sure, who's gonna be mean to you when you're just being nice? I'm not gonna approach someone who's miserable and just like a fucking mean person.
Sit down, shut the fuck up, and just
Hey,
listen for 1
motherfucker.
minute.
You got
I
the
might,
bone, you
right?
fucking hit it right by their head.
Right? But you're not gonna get to them because those are the hard. That is the challenge. The challenge is you have to gauge how much their ego is getting in the way of things, right? How stubborn are they, and like how full of shit are they to be like, I fucking know everything, or like, you know, you can tell.
But then it's not even even worth your time at the end of the
That's
day.
the challenge. That's
and your
the only
energy.
challenge. So I don't ever, when you ask me, Anthony, like, what are my challenges? I don't really have challenges. If anything, is like filling the classes in a space that don't typically offer this is a challenge because I walked into a rec center. Nobody has offered it at a community rec center. But why did I do that? Because I'm like, nobody wants to walk into a yoga studio if they haven't done it. Well, first off, men will definitely not walk in there because even if they did, it's like uncomfortable because if it's not about like them, it's about the fact that they're just going to think that I'm going to walk in and I'm going to be the only man. And then everyone's going to think that I'm just a perv.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Of course. Like you're telling me like if as a man, that hasn't crossed your mind once.
Oh, 100%.
Even if you're comfortable enough to do it and know it's good for you, it's like, I'm not a perv, but there's probably people in here that probably think I'm coming here because I'm a perv because I'm the only guy. It's really intimidating.
Yeah.
And I'm a girl and I wear Lululemon. I sport that shit really well, but I was intimidated to go in because I'm like, fuck, I can't even like touch my toes. Right? It was awkward. It was uncomfortable for me. So I took it out of that. And it's like, that's not my target anyways. I'm here to give this to people who were like me, who would have never known, but I'm here to know that I can get people to that state way quicker than I got to that state. I cut the corners for you because nobody, like, why would you put someone through more trial and error when you can just Be like, here.
Yeah.
Like, no, hey, go do meditation for a year and then come see
Yeah.
me.
Mhm.
When I can just get you to that state like in a minute.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
barely a minute.
Yeah. I mean, it works. It works because
Yeah.
it's the frequency and the vibrations actually forces your brain into those states where your brain waves get to that lower level of vibration where it goes into that rest and digest. So the cool thing is when you sleep, and if you get a really good sleep because you actually, really did the self-care and brought yourself to that nervous system of just settling, then you can get that deeper sleep. But the truth is this world is so chaotic and so busy, and you're just getting pulled and spread so thin, right? There's no
Yeah.
balance anymore. And now you're just getting pushed in society to do more and try to keep up when you're already falling behind. And so it's just overdrive. And so the thing is like, like people need it so bad that it doesn't require a lot for you to get them to that state, because the second that they can just feel good, at least feeling like it's a safe space or that it's not judgmental or the person's inviting and holding space really well for you to just be for a moment, even that's just enough, anything more than that is just amazing. But it's just like, I mean, I can talk about this on and on and on and on, and it makes sense logically, right? But until you guys both know, until you actually experience it,
Yeah. You gotta
there's
try it.
no explaining.
Literally.
But
Yeah.
go look up on YouTube and videos. Like there are science, like there's research done. Even NASA did a study on frequency vibration. There's machines that actually uses frequency and vibration to heal the body and heal
Mhm.
cells and cancer and all that. It's just the honest truth is they're probably going to freaking hunt me down for this, but it's like the pharmaceutical industry doesn't want us to heal with natural
that
modalities
money.
because it works.
We say that every
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, they want the money.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? They want the money because like me being on antidepressant anxiety medication isn't going to kill me. It's going to keep me numb and going back and then now I'm hooked to it.
Well,
I'm
sick
still
people keep them rich. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
If
they're
you're
not
actually
they,
fixing the problem, then they have no money to make.
Yeah.
But it's the stupid thing. Well, pharmaceutical drugs, but there is money to be made for happy people and experiences and stuff. It's just not in the industry that is pretty much dominating our Western culture, right? I mean, these modalities, like they don't have the access that we have. So what are they using? Chinese medicine, acupuncture, Tai Chi, gongs, shruti boxes, yoga, meditation, you name it. All those are natural things, right?
Yep.
And so it's all about really learning to balance the nervous system. There's no perfection, that. Like, I could do sound baths, and I do a lot of sound baths, and it also does regulate my nervous system. It's helped me with my ADHD. It's helped me. And this is the great thing is it lasts not because you have to keep receiving this medicine. What it does is when you receive this medicine, it just allows you to heal holistically and your body to naturally recover itself. Like when you're in that sleeping state, the cool thing is when you're in a sound bath, you actually remember it. You remember pieces of it. And I sequence it in a way that it takes you on a journey. I call it a symphony sound bath journey because I have a very wide collection of instruments, because not only do I want it inviting, I also want it to be an experience that is enjoyable, right? Kind of like a concert. But the whole point isn't to give you a concert. If you fall asleep, people are worried about missing out on the instrument. It's like, don't worry about that. If you fall asleep, that means what I did worked.
Yeah.
I want you to
was
fall asleep.
sleeping
I
right
want you
away
to
last
snore.
time. I was snoring last time.
Well, that's
Yeah,
the thing
you
is
were.
the first time
Yeah.
is because you don't know what to expect. It's all
Yeah.
trippy. It's like, so you're in the
Well,
state where
I
you're
have
like,
my
what the hell is
guard
that?
up.
Where's that?
Is what it is.
Yes.
Is you have
Yeah.
your
And
guard
that's
up.
normal, because that is no different. And this is where neuroplasticity, right? People might not understand this. And it took me a while to understand neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is just rewiring your brain to do something different, but safely. When we are, and this is the thing is, growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
You have to get uncomfortable in order to learn something new and grow from it. If you keep doing the same shit that feels comfortable, well, you're not learning anything new. So therefore you're not wiring your brain to do anything differently other than what you've been doing. And if it doesn't work, if it hasn't been working for you, then clearly you got to change it up, because if you keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's the definition of insanity right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
literally.
So when you go to learn, when you go to get in the discomfort a little bit of doing something different, but then sitting in that discomfort and then coming out of it with a different perspective was like, oh, that wasn't actually so bad after all. Oh, that actually felt good. I kind of like that. Now you just rewired your brain to think something different. It's for anything, not just like for sound bath, but like when you even stretch or physically do something different or even learn something different in school or whatever it is that you're trying to learn, it's going to be uncomfortable. There's a learning curve. There's a little bit of a challenge, right? And when you get out of that and you come on the other side and realize it wasn't the end of the world and you actually learned something from that, it becomes something that is acceptable to you now. And now you just trained your brain to tell your brain that it is actually okay. And then your nervous system just settles like, okay, I'm cool with this. I'm comfortable in this. So now you already knew what to expect. The instruments, you're kind of had an idea. Even if I changed the instruments up, or even if you went to a different sound bath, you wouldn't have that guard up the same way because now you are familiar with it.
Well, like
It
the
doesn't
second time
take
we
that
did
long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And the more you do it every single time, it gets easier and easier and easier. And the next thing you know, it's like for me, I don't need to do sound baths because now I know what it's like to be in that nervous system of just rest and digest more often than I am in fight or flight. That the second that I'm in fight or flight, I am hyper aware. I'm so much more aware of it because I've hardwired my brain or rewired my brain to undo the fight or flight every day to now in that, more blissful state of like rest and digest or just not having that anxiety, that when I do feel anxiety, I feel it even more than I did before.
Yeah.
It doesn't last as long though.
I think the trippy thing is too, is even with your instruments, for example, I now associate a feeling with the sounds that you have shared with me. So the rain one is cool because it was raining the other day and my brain automatically goes, shit, we know what this means. Like, let's fucking chill out. You know what I mean? Like,
right?
You were playing the accordion box before we started. I don't know what it's called. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The
But you were
Shruti
playing
box, this one.
Shruti, yeah. But
This
that
is
sound is, yeah.
humming, right?
Yeah, so
Repetitive
that
humming.
sound is solely associated now to me to a sound bath because that's the only place I've experienced
Ever
that
seen
sound. You know what
I
I mean?
hate the accordion sound, but now every time I hear something remotely like accordion, and I used to like rub me the wrong way with accordions. I'm like, that's such an annoying instrument. I don't know why people like it. And now when I hear it, it reminds me of the street box or like the ocean drum that actually sounds like a real ocean.
Yeah.
People remember that state of when they were like last at their vacation, that they were sitting there looking at the beach. And so when you associate these things with a good feeling, you just rewired your brain differently.
Yeah.
That's all it is neuroplasticity. And this is where I really came to learn through my own experience that neuroplasticity is a real thing. I mean, I went from thinking that I am a lost fucking cause and there is no saving me, that I was a giver and just would give to other people because the hopes was, at least if I can't save myself, if I save other people or make other people feel better, then I don't feel so useless. And I feel like at least it's going towards something and feel good about myself.
Yeah.
Right. But, that's the thing is like when you learn that you can save yourself, it's just nobody taught us how. They don't teach us in school how to breathe and do breath work. You breathe automatically to survive, but stop trying to survive. Start thriving. So how do you thrive? If you are not wanting to survive anymore, how do you get past that? Well, okay, if you're breathing automatically to survive, literally because you have to, and your body's naturally doing it for you, well, what about breathing with intention? Doing a little bit of breath work. It doesn't take much. Taking that deep breath and exhaling, and that just allows you to release things. And now you're breathing in extra oxygen that your body doesn't require the minimal amount. You're now bringing in even extra oxygen, which gives you more mental clarity. As soon as you start breathing, your mind can actually think more clear because you're sending more oxygen into your blood and your brain. And then when you exhale, you're letting go of that like stress level that's lowering and reducing your cortisol level. This is all it's all science. It's a real thing. I'm not making this shit up. I'm not a doctor and I'm not a scientist, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. And you can find research on this and there's a linkage to all of this. And so this is why Yeah, lights. Yeah,
Red
right.
light, the whole red light
Yeah,
thing too.
yeah. But I mean, you tell me what other practice, like, I mean, yoga, you have to train to get into the poses. It takes a while to get into it. Even when you do your steps, Anthony, it took you a
Yeah.
while to get those, to get there, to train yourself with that. Even when you do fitness and weight training, all of these other therapies, which is all amazing. You should have that in your life, a little bit of everything. But this is the one natural medicine that works like almost instantly, where you don't have to do anything. It
Just
is the
show up.
easiest thing to do. You just show
Well,
up.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can just show up and experience it, and it's as simple
Yeah.
as just like you said, like being curious enough to the idea. Like,
Yeah.
I've already told a
If you're
couple friends
curious
about
enough,
it,
right?
and
And
I've
that's the
already
thing is,
looked into it. Like, I'm
if
going
you can,
again.
if you can then come out of it feeling so amazing just from taking someone's word for it, like and this is where I don't have to do a lot of marketing, because it's a lot of just word of mouth of people being like, you really need to try this shit out.
Yeah.
Right. But it's also the intention of how I do it and how I sequence it. So I do it where it's like, it makes people feel like they're kind of coming to like a very like blissful, or like a very calming environment. As soon as you walk in, the environment that I light up in the room itself, the ambience already makes you melt, because it's
Yeah.
hard not to be like, oh man,
With all the
that is
lights and
actually
stuff.
relaxing, right? Look at
Yeah.
your space with the lights and the clouds. Like, you walk in and it makes it's associated with a good feeling, right?
Yeah.
No
When
one
you
can
go to a
see
place
it
that
because
is
it's
shady,
behind everything.
right? Did you get the clouds up?
I was just about to ask that.
I know I got one of the other lights up, so I got
I
165
see.
feet of
Cool.
Fuck.
lights on my ceiling now. I just gotta put the clouds up.
Fuck.
It'll
Yeah.
get there. But that's the thing, is associating a good fit. So it's everything. It's creating that ambience that as soon as somebody walks in, they can already melt. Like, so those guys that came into the Range Rover room, they had no intentions of doing a sound bath, but they couldn't help but be like, man, that looks really relaxing. And also
Yeah.
playing music in the background that creates that space. You have the lights, it's kind of cool. And it's like, yeah, okay. That lets the guard down a little bit, where they're like, okay, now I'm curious. Well, if I'm already here and I'm just saying to you, like, honestly, the only thing you have to do is just lay down.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How much easier does it get than that? And but yet you can come out of it feeling really good and not
Indescribably
be
good.
in your mind and not
Literally
stressed.
indescribly good.
You gotta do it.
Just
You
fucking
gotta
do
do
it.
it.
Like,
Find
honestly.
it in your town, your city, wherever the hell you are.
And that's
You
the thing is,
know?
like, Anthony, this is
Just
why I
do
love
it.
how you speak about it now. Like, Eric was like easy, like, to convince over and stuff. Anthony, it's not that you were like skeptical about it, but you had your reservations about it. And like, I don't blame you for that. I was exactly like that. I mean, if anything, let's be honest, I was really judgmental. I called it a cult. I called it
Yeah.
hokey pokey shit. I called it like woo woo. And I'm like, this is like witchcraft shit. And I'm like, I don't believe in that spiritual shit, because
And
I
now
think
here
I've
you
always
are.
had that. Yeah. And I mean, I'm working with energy, I'm doing Reiki and stuff, but it's once you let that ego go and you just
Yes.
surrender, and what's the worst that can happen? So you fucking laid down and took a nap, or even just gave
Yeah.
yourself a second to
Literally.
lay down. Who the fuck doesn't want to lay down
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
than kids, right?
I'm ready to lay down right now.
Yeah,
Right?
me too.
So, I mean, if I'm inviting you into a space that already seems like very like, and Erin's all passed out over there. She had like 2 sound baths today and lots of sun. Oh, she's there. But, and that's the thing is like, so you make the ambience inviting, then you kind of give people like a nice little concert and start off with some nice sounds. But then I sequence it where it's like I take you on a journey, and I take you through this journey where you go through this transition. So my story, I don't tell my story in a guided meditation. I tell my story through the music.
Yeah.
So I've sequenced it after a year and a half of really watching how it resonates with people, learning which instruments goes where in what order, in terms of like really like resonating with people in that blissful state, or that angelic state, or that like, oh, this is a little uncomfortable state. I've watched people's reactions, and I've closely watched how people resonate with certain things. So I've figured out which instruments resonates which emotion. So then I sequenced it in an order, and it took me a long time to really like figure that out and play around with it, where it then became this flow, right? And because of maybe my yoga background with the sequencing and also like music composition, everything has to have a flow. So if you want people to flow in life and feel free, you have to create a flow. But the whole idea is like transformative experience is like taking people in to feel safe first. They're slowly getting in. But then I found if you play too much of the blissful instruments, people fall asleep before they get anywhere. And then it's like, then you lose them where they're just like, they had a really good fucking nap. But then I want them to be awake and asleep enough in that state of dreamlike state, but in and out where they can remember bits and pieces of it, because then they'll actually remember that that experience did something for them. When you're sleeping, like when you go to bed and you wake up and you don't remember anything of like how you felt, you just like, I feel good, I feel refreshed, but I don't remember the process of it, then you don't understand the process of it. But when you understand the process of it while it's happening, that's where it's solid. That's where you won them over, that they're like, wow, this actually really works, because I remember going in and out of that state. And so when I bring the gong in, that's a deep kind of dark state where it's like some people like, you know, Eric, you gravitate towards that. You liked it. Some people feel uncomfortable with it. Yeah, right. It just depends on what resonates with you. But a lot of people, that deep darkness, especially for women, it kind of shakes them up. It's like very, very like kind of like dark and like kind of like
worrisome
creepy.
or whatever. You got creepy,
and men,
worrisome.
like there's like for men, you guys are so used to being in that discomfort or that state of like something that doesn't feel safe, that you've
the
wired
chimes
yourself.
and stuff was discomfort for me, and the gong was like the you know,
So
that's what
the thing is, because that's your normal. You're used to that darkness. You're used to that heaviness. So that's where your comfort zone is. So then being in like a state of like something so dainty and like this is uncomfortable, because that state is like, it's calming, but it's foreign to you. So you're having to teach your brain and your body the opposite of what you know. Right?
You know,
it's the same as like relationships.
Saying, well, you know how you were saying like it's your journey, your music is kind of like the journey you went. Mine, it would probably be like crash, boom, ping, pang, boom, boom, pang, ting, boom, pang,
Yours
boom,
would
bang,
be banging
crash.
pots and pans
You know
together.
what I
That
mean?
would
Like
actually be the pots and pans.
Yeah.
Your sound bath would be
what mine would
literally banging on the pots and
just
pans.
bang, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
That's what mine would probably be
Right?
like.
Yeah.
So
But
I'm
you would be
thankful
comfortable
for
in
yours.
that. But that would shake people up. But that's your comfort. Right? But when you go into that bliss, like, and that's the thing, is that bliss was actually uncomfortable for me as a woman. I've come to realize that like I really had a lot of that masculine energy, you know? And so I didn't know what it was like to be soft. I didn't know what it was like to be not aggressive. Like a lot of people, like, you know, like growing up and stuff like that, as a woman and a girl, people were scared of me. Not because I'm big and I can beat the shit out of you, but because I like packed in a really strong assertiveness, right? And I'm very, very like, the level of like firmness I am when I speak, it's aggressive almost, that people are like, whoa, like fucking calm down.
Passion,
Like,
though.
Yeah.
it is, but it's like I don't know how to be dainty and soft, like, you know, like those like girls that are just
You don't have to be. That's
airheads.
not who you are. That's not your
No,
character.
and
Be
it's
you,
not,
man.
but that's the thing, is it's uncomfortable for
Fuck
me
'em
to
all.
be girly. Like I am girly, but like that type of woman where they embrace that. But there has to be a balance, right? And so for men, you're so used to that masculine energy that getting into that softness is foreign to you, so it's uncomfortable. But it doesn't mean that it's unhealthy. It's, in fact, to bring yourself to balance, you do need to bring yourself a little bit to that side, but you also have to live in what, you know, like naturally what, you know, men and women all have a purpose, right? Men have a purpose, women have a purpose. When we try to be the opposite sex that we're not, it's not going to really work. And I mean, people are probably going to hate me for saying this and stuff like that. But I mean, I didn't understand it until I was like, you know what? I just sometimes have to let my guard down enough to soften myself up, right? To really step into that feminine energy, because that's really my role as a woman, is to be more of that feminine energy. But it doesn't mean that I can't have that masculine energy and be very independent and like, you know, like some boss babe, like you're really owning that
It's
shit
good
up.
to
There's
have
a
it
time
and
and
turn
place
it
for
on
it.
when you need
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You turn the knob.
And
I get
same
it.
for men. It's good to be sensitive and have that and turn it on and off when you need it, right? It makes you human, right?
Definitely.
Anyways, I mean, I can go on forever about all this shit. We've like touched upon so many different topics and stuff, but you know, at the end of the day,
Oh no,
simply
we're
put,
not done. We're not done yet. There's
yeah, but
Oh, yeah.
it's just try it. Just sit your ass down, lay your ass down, anything. Like, what is the worst that can happen? You might walk out feeling like you gain something that you would have never thought you could bring into your life and completely change your life and have the Anthony reaction. Or you walk out feeling a little bit like, okay, cool, that was actually not bad experience, but maybe it's not for me. But you know, I haven't really had anybody, honestly,
Mhm.
come out of it like that. They're just like, I can see really how this happens. It's a matter of like now showing up to do it more often to nourish yourself. Now that's a different problem because it's like, what are your priorities, right? Now that you know
Yeah.
what's good for you and what's good, it's like, what are your priorities? Are you going to still prioritize all the other shit that isn't as important as your engine in life? To
I'm
nourish
not
that?
joking when I say that everybody is getting a fucking sound bath for Christmas this year. I swear to God. I will buy 15 to 30 gift certificates. I don't give a fuck. That's what people are getting.
You're gonna be like Oprah. You get a sound
I
bath. You
know
get a
what? For
Yeah.
sound
that
bath.
amount
You
of
get a sound.
money, I'm just
Everybody
gonna
gets
buy
a
you
sound bath.
just for that amount of money, you might as well just fucking buy a gong and start doing sound baths for people. Then it's
Yeah, but
endless.
I don't fucking do it the way you do it. You would have to train me.
That's what I'm doing.
I know.
Everybody, but that's the thing is it's intuitive. And you know, like the gong resonates with you. I guarantee the more you play it, it's gonna warp you into it. The gong is the most potent instrument that you can have in a sound bath.
Buddy, we'll
I'll
call
take
it the
10.
Gong Show.
The
The
Gong
Gong
Show.
Show. There you go.
Yeah.
Come to Anthony's Gong Show.
No, there's
Aaron,
Fuck
you
yeah.
got Aaron's approval on that. I
yeah,
should put
but you
this on
know
speaker
what?
so she can hear
There we
this.
go.
There's fucking hockey.
Seriously,
Like
that's
it's
a
a
really
saying
good
in
fucking
hockey.
name.
Of course, I'm
Yeah,
good at this
hockey
shit.
players
Come
use
get
that
the
all the
Anthony,
time.
like come get the Anthony, come get
Uh,
the Anthony reaction. Just come to his Gong Show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Literally a Gong Show.
There's probably a hockey podcast called The Gong Show. The Gong Show is like a term that hockey players use. So
Really?
yeah,
Anthony's Gong Show is another name, or like the Anthony effect.
I'm gonna need
Or
to
whatever.
mortgage a house to fucking buy 10 different gongs.
Fuck it, yeah, man, just sell everything.
Or you just fucking build me a bunch, Eric, because we were looking at your house afterwards when we got home
Didn't
that
you
night.
say, Eric? Didn't you say like you could probably hand make one yourself?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I
I
said.
can. I could.
Yeah.
Probably. I'm a certified body man, so I can manipulate metal. I did it when I was in school a long
Hey, I
time
need
ago.
you
I
to
had to make some.
build me a gong stand for my giant gong.
I don't have the tools. I don't have the tools. I sold
You could
them.
build
Well,
a
not.
gong stand.
I could do it out of wood.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I can do that out of wood. I have like all my carpenter tools still.
Yeah. There you
I
go.
can make you something, definitely.
Awesome.
But Anthony's got to ask you two things.
Two things. I have two questions for you. You've listened to the episode, so you probably know. I will ask the one that you probably know first. What is your message to the world in one sentence?
Oh man. My message to the world? Okay.
In one sentence, yeah.
The one thing that I live off of that really changed my life is this one quote. Your second life starts the day you realize you only have one.
Yes.
That's a deep one.
Very deep.
So,
Wow.
right? That's a
Question
good one.
number two.
You say that on your video, don't you? Sorry.
Oh
right?
yeah, I live by that.
Yeah.
And it's literally is like, if you know that, what is your legacy? The legacy is the imprint that you leave behind in this world when your time is up. What do
Yeah.
you want people to remember you for?
Yeah.
The Gong Show.
Fucking
Oh
right.
my gosh. Your podcast is gonna go viral.
Let's fucking
Hopefully.
hope so.
Hope so.
Question number two. What is your definition of home?
Oh my God. Home. Wow. Wow. That one's wow. I did not see that one coming. Whoa, that one hit a hard spot. Because home was a really foreign thing for me because I didn't know what home was. It took me my whole entire life to really understand what home was. And for the last 3 years, home was changing constantly. I had a home for a really long time that I thought was a home, to only have to like give up that home to like live through a whole bunch of other homes that I had to create a home. And at the end of the day, it didn't matter where I went and what I did, how far I ran away, how much I tried to avoid. Home is just where your heart's at, your
Mhm.
passion, your intuition, your It's right here. This is where home is. And you
Perfect.
can go anywhere and it's always going to be there. You just have to really own it and live it and embrace it.
Mhm.
And you can take that home anywhere. You can take it to Mexico with you.
Where you have it right
Beautiful
now.
answer.
Yeah, it's not a physical, like actual home. Like, I mean, I think we misinterpret that interpretation to be literal.
Yeah.
But when you really ask yourself where home is really
Home
where
is
your heart.
peace.
Yeah,
It's
home is
peace,
peace.
right?
Mhm.
Well, I just want to say, Jenny, thank you so much. Thank
No,
you
thank you.
for introducing us to the sound bath. Thank you for rocking our world in the sound bath while we were hanging there vulnerable in the fucking silk swings.
Thank you for opening me up to
Yeah.
your world. Like, you
Yeah.
guys actually really allowed me to heal through some shit. I mean, like, you saw it. Like, I mean, I went in, you know, wanting to hear people's stories, and I came out like freaking healing myself and sitting in the discomfort.
Mhm.
And, you know, like, you guys really held space for me to actually like face that, which is,
Mhm.
I think, a layer of healing that I wasn't going to be able to do for myself had it not been for the experience that we had, right? So we're learning and sharing from two different worlds that are not familiar to
Mhm.
either of us, but
Mhm.
that's
Crossing
the
paths.
beauty in it. Exactly. Because
Yeah.
we're all humans at the end of the day. We all have emotions. We all have the same wants and desires. It doesn't matter where your fucking background is. It doesn't matter what your experience in life is. It doesn't matter how much pain or trauma you've been compared to somebody else. You're human, and we all deserve to be seen, loved, feel completely authentically ourselves, and actually unapologetically actually be comfortable in your own skin to really speak your mind and your heart, and not only speak it but live it and share it.
Love it.
Right? You guys do that with Raw Minds, and that's why I absolutely love your podcast and will always be a fan and support you guys in what you do. And had it not been for this journey, I mean, you know, let's be honest, I probably would have never really hung out around guys like you. I would have been scared to.
Mhm.
But you
Whoa,
guys
what do you mean, like us?
You.
Oh, I'm not going to answer that.
No, that's okay.
You're
We
just
get
giving me
it.
a hard time.
Yeah, I'm just
But
playing.
right? I mean, I do now. I'm open to everybody, but like back in the day, the way I was wired and raised and the people I surround myself by, like, we all had judgments of other people, and there is
Yeah.
no judgment now. It's like, really, it's just like good humans are good humans.
Yep.
Good humans
Definitely.
are good humans. Humans that have the right intention, the right heart. Doesn't matter what your past was, doesn't matter what mistakes you made. We all fucking made mistakes in our own ways. We all learn from them. If we learn from them, actually, if we choose to better ourselves and learn and grow from that, and then do something with that and turn your pain into passion and into purpose, it doesn't matter what your history was. It's who you are now, how you show up continuously
Yeah,
every day, who you're becoming,
definitely.
and how you continue to leave that legacy and leave that mark in this life, right? So as
Yep.
far as I'm concerned, it's fucking awesome that, you know, we cross paths, and people should do that more often. Quit
Hell yeah.
judging and start opening up to each other and start realizing that there's a lot of similarities. A lot.
Yeah,
And
that
you-
asshole over there is not actually an asshole.
Yep.
Well, I have to say thank you, Jenny. I really appreciate it. I'll definitely see you when you get back anyways.
Yep.
Mhm.
I don't know. I might just stay here forever. It's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm coming back to Mexico again in 3 weeks. So
Of course you
Your
are.
life sounds like it fucking sucks.
it's awful.
Yeah.
It's so bad. This whole sound healing journey has really
Yeah.
brought the shittiest parts of life to me.
Oh my god. I do want to just say too, Jenny, I never got the opportunity when I was there, and I've just been so busy since I got home and then I got sick. But I'm really grateful that I got to meet you on my journey out to BC. I'm really grateful that we got to cross paths. I'm really grateful that I got to experience a sound bath with you. And I'm also really grateful I got to experience a meeting with you and see it from that side, because
Mhm.
for me it was pretty humbling to see the way you experienced it, because I lost sight of that perspective, you know, because I've been there so long. Like, that's my safe place, that's my happy place. And to see someone come into it and see how real it can be for people was very humbling for me. So I'm just really grateful that you had met Eric and we all got introduced, and I feel like this was like the introduction to like a very insane friendship that's going
Hell
to
yeah.
carry on for a long time.
And I love the fact that, you know, you guys have a platform of people that I would not typically be able to reach, have it not been for you guys really like giving it the opportunity for me to show that to you and really embrace that and be genuine about it and share it on your podcast, because I can't convince certain crowds as well as you could, right? And my whole entire is to change people's minds, or at least give them a little bit of a taste of it for them to then be able to decide for themselves if it's for them. But if it's a medicine that is natural and it brings you closer to connecting to yourself comfortably and healing, then that's the only thing I want to do. Is I'm not here to do sound baths for you every single day. There's lots of sound healers. My mission is to, even if it's one session with you, I just want to use this catalyst to get to the state where you're so calm in that zen of being so present in your body without any of that ego, any of the thoughts, nothing, just purely you, that parasympathetic nervous system. And that is when you plant the seed in that state where you're so focusedly in that moment, feeling and being like allowing yourself to open up vulnerably to receive. That is when you plant that seed. And when that person, even if they're not ready, when they begin to nourish that soil, and we all hit a point in our life when we're going to start waking up and being like, shit, I got to really start doing something, right? The majority of people will start somehow showing up for themselves at some point in time. That seed's already intentionally planted there, that when you start to nourish that soil and fertilize the soil that you live in, that you stand in, you're going to, that seed's going to start to blossom into the most beautiful version of yourself. And I never believed that that was possible. And now I'm living my dream life, doing the dream things that I never, ever could have imagined. You know, I'm still sitting here. I've done this so many times, and I'm telling Aaron, I'm like, fuck, I still can't believe, like, holy shit. Like, I'm looking around, I'm like, and yet to think there was so many times in my life where I was just like, I don't here. I don't deserve to be here. And there's nothing here for me. If it wasn't for my kids, I wouldn't give a shit if I wasn't here anymore, because this life brought way too much pain and too much suffering that it's not worth it. But I'm only here because I don't want my kids to end up having that pain. And now it's gone from that of just living so that my kids don't get messed up. But really, if I didn't have my kids, I wouldn't give a shit if I was dead or alive. Like, death doesn't scare me, right? Living scared me more than dying.
Yeah.
That's most
You know
people.
that. You know that feeling also well.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, fuck, I don't want to die at all. Like, this is too good. Who the fuck wants to die when you're going to Mexico and doing what you love all the time? Your friends here all the time, meeting cool people. Like, who the fuck wants to die now? Right? My plane felt like it was going to drop the last time I was in Mexico. I literally actually sent a long message to my ex to send to like my kids in case something happened to me, because it was like really turbulent, and like it was like it was almost like in a movie where like shit was hitting the fan and we're all like, holy fuck, the plane's going down. It was the scariest moment of my life. And I'm like, I cannot die right now. I'm just starting to live. Right. So if I can get there, there's nothing special about me at all. I just chose to live. I chose to actually not just show up and survive, but I chose to take matters into my own hands and start making the choices that I can say yes to, because I let go of the fear. And it's like, I stopped letting the fear take over my life, and I just gave it a chance. What do you have to lose? Yeah. What's the worst thing? To me, it's like, what's the worst thing that can happen? I'm not scared of death. So if I die, then at least I die trying.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, you can't live in fear your whole life. Just give it a fucking try. What's the worst that can happen? Oh, what? Exactly. So if it doesn't turn out, then fucking do something else. Now you know.
Something else, exactly.
Now you know, right? If you don't know, you don't know. But when you know, you know. And now you know what a sound bath is.
All right there, Biggie.
On that note.
Well, that's it. That's all for us.
Okay.
We're done.
Anthony, I didn't see you take the Tylenol. Looks
That's
like
why my camera was off. That's why I turned my camera off. was like, I don't
Yeah.
know if I should be taking drugs on the fucking show, but whatever. I'm
I should have
I'm
just
not
given
gonna
you a
lie.
sound bath.
I'm
Yeah.
fighting for my life right now.
Yes,
I need to go
literally,
to
like,
bed. So
okay,
Okay,
do it.
well, I'm going to end this
I should
here.
send you my sound bath. It's on Spotify,
yes,
and you
we'll
just plug
post
it in,
everything.
go to sleep.
We'll post everything on socials, but send it to me because I want it regardless.
No, I mean, like, right now, just put in your headphones or earbuds and pass out to the sound bath.
Send
He
it
just
to
I'll
me.
wants
send you.
the gong.
Please.
Just tell him where the gong is, and he'll
The
Yeah,
just
gong's
just
in
give
there.
me.
dong,
Yeah, just
dong,
give me the
dong.
fucking.
Okay,
Yeah,
you know what?
that
I'm gonna
timestamp.
I'm gonna specifically record an audio track of sound bath called the Gong Show for Anthony or whatever
There
it
you
is.
go. There
We'll
you
do
go.
Yeah.
some sort of name. You'll help me come up with this name, and it'll literally be on Spotify. A
Just call it
MindWave
Raw
Gong Show.
Gongs.
Raw
Raw
Gong.
dong.
Raw Gongs.
Inspired
Yeah.
by Anthony.
Yeah.
Raw Gongs
Okay.
inspired by Anthony reaction.
Yeah.
On
there
that
you go.
note, we got to go. We're going to
Yes.
cut her off
Love
here.
you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody. Thanks for joining. We'll see you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.